Electricast.
Welcome into Missing the Point. I'm Mike Marcangelo, joined by DK Sizzle, Dave Clarke, Hollywood, Rayshawn Buchanan. It is week one, at the end of week one of the NFL season. Football is back. And today we're talking about the New England Patriots. Surprising to some, but not to many, victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll talk about what went right in that game, what went wrong, a little bit of Tom Brady. Maybe we'll throw in something of the Chicago Bears yesterday, and then we'll do our week two predictions. But before we get into it, how happy, DK, are you to have NFL back on you just dominating your Sundays?
You know, I feel like I didn't get to really let it wash over me properly because, like, I sort of was very excited, like, Saturday night. And as you know, out here on the West Coast, the games start at 10 a.m. And on a Sunday, that's about when, like, my consciousness sort of comes online, if that makes sense. So, you know, you kind of sleep in a little bit and I'm like, all right, I'll get up, I'll take a shower, put the coffee on. And then the first NFL game's kicking off, which I know is a different, like, experience than what you guys are having. So it sort of felt like I blinked and my team was down 17-0. And I was so upset. Like, I don't remember the last time my expectations and reality crashed into each other that hard in any context, not just sports. So yes, I am, like, sort of picking up the pieces of my excitement that the NFL is back from that devastating first part of the Sunday. I will say I loved the Thursday night game. And I think now that we've, like, added a random Friday game at the start of the season, because I know we're not keeping that up because there's an actual law that says we can't because of high school football. It's, like, on the books. Between certain dates, you can't have Friday NFL broadcasts or games. So they're not going to keep doing it.
They're gonna try and do Labor Day next year, the entire weekend.
Right, but, like, that's still before the cutoff. It's like September. The lines are like September to December somewhere.
Yeah.
So I didn't love the Friday game, to be honest with you, but I thought the Thursday game improved. Maybe because there was a Friday game, maybe it was just like a point of comparison. I just thought the presentation of the Thursday game was better. The game was good, and that, like, stoked my excitement. So despite my depression on Sunday morning, it's Monday now, and I'm, like, amped that we have Monday Night Football. Like, they put together really good matchups across the board for the primetime games, which I appreciated. I mean, they at least tried to do that for the Friday game, even if it was the worst game of football I think I've ever seen played or presented. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm super excited. I'm sorry if that was more muted than it should have been, because I really was like suicidal on Sunday morning. So I'm kind of like, I'm recovering from a traumatic experience, even though it ended well.
Ray, maybe not as quite dramatic as that, but how happy are you that football's back?
Yeah, no, I mean, super sad. I feel the same way as Dave, though. Like, not suicidal, but definitely, I didn't enjoy the Friday night game either for what I've seen from it. And I think it's because maybe with it being in Brazil, but that's not really where you think about football. Not obviously the American version of it anyway. So, but either way, I mean, hey, they got a chance to see two teams, so I'm assuming they were excited over there. But yeah, Thursday night was great. But go ahead, Mike.
Also, like, presentation on Friday, not to do like a whole segment.
No graphics packages, no graphics fucking packages anywhere.
Couldn't hear the fucking commentators.
Couldn't hear the commentators properly. It looked like there was a weird film grain on the camera, or it was just like raining, or that's just like what Brazil looks like, or the air's different. I don't fucking know. Yeah. The crowd was, like, kind of into it, but then, like, not really. And yeah. And then the field. I mean, that was the biggest dereliction of duty. Like, those guys couldn't go full out. You could just see it. And the second half got a little better when they all changed their cleats to, I assume, like, 10-inch fucking spikes. But because they might as well have been fucking snowshoeing out there. But, like, I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it at all. I agree. It was so annoying. We were all in agreement in the group chat about how bad the presentation was too. And it's like,
how good
I like the pageantry of it all,
Yeah, how good the halftime show was. DK. Okay, but moving on. To the Patriots stunning, to some, again, victory over the Cincinnati Bengals 16-10. This is the first opening week victory since Cam Newton in 2020. So, Ray, because you are the lone person on this show that last week said there's no fucking chance that the Patriots going to win, you laughed in DK in my face. How surprising was this victory for you?
I mean, I think obviously I loved about both, but I loved more about the spread, and we'll get into that, shortly. But I mean, listen, I mean, and many others were stood corrected yesterday. That's one of the better performances they've had in a long, long time. And obviously, there's always things you could work on. But I was blown away, and like I said, pleasantly surprised that they came away with that victory. Yes, Cincinnati has been notorious slow starters in the Joe Burrow era, but I still thought they had enough to get that job done, especially at home in week one. But yeah, super shocked that they won. Once again, at the core as a fan, of course, I'm happy that they won the game. But like I said, I was shocked that they came out there and really dominated them for most of the game. It wasn't something where they kind of just stumbled into the win. Like they did many things to contribute to a good game for them in all three phases. So I was excited to see that.
Yeah, DK, that game was, it's one of the games that you like the most, right? It's a strong defense. But it wasn't sloppy by any means. Like, and every turnover was forced. So knowing that, like, you were with me last week when we were picking them in the spread. What did you like most about that win for the Patriots? And I guess why were you so confident in them covering?
I think the thing I sort of pointed to last week or the last time that just the three of us were on a show, as we were coming down the stretch of that show, I was like, it's all upside for this coaching staff, right? Like if they come in and they know that they have this kind of flawed roster, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and they're able to sort of game manage a win against a notoriously slow starting Cincinnati Bengals, and they've gotten the team to at least believe that they're not as bad as everybody says. There's a nice little coaching lemon falling off your garden tree when you can make them the nobody believes in us team, right? Where you can really start to G the guys up, because if they spent any of their offseason watching ESPN or listening to Ray on this show, they think they're a bunch of fucking bums, right? So like not letting that in, that's like a big thing. And essentially, I guess my point is, if they were going to play well, it was going to be down to the coaching staff. And it looked to me like they were one of the better prepared teams across the entire NFL yesterday, which I think is just all upside for you guys, because what you don't have is a ton of talent or depth, and that's fine. But what you do have, it seems, is guys that can do a lot with a little. So usually when guys can do a lot with a little, they can do a lot with a lot. That's in management positions. I have said that many times over the course of my life. So I think the O-line problems, like my O-line looked so much worse than your guys' O-line. And on paper, yours is supposed to be twice as bad as mine. Like the rankings are like 12th and like 32nd or whatever it is. So even more than twice as bad, right? So like the plug and play guys, that the way that they were blocking, like the way that they seemed to be like kind of set up and dealing with each other was a huge challenge for us. For you guys, it was like, and I made this point, it's like you can kind of put one together if you know the plays that you're running and everybody knows their job. They're not going to be dynamic as a blocking unit, but which they, I wouldn't have called them dynamic. I think it was very like methodical first quarter drive, a lot of good runs. And quite frankly, Ramondre, I don't want to jump your agenda, but like look like fucking LeGarrette Blount out there, to be honest. Like really like real shades of it. And I was like, damn, he's running really, really well. He's not as slow as you think he's going to be when he gets like into the open field and gets his head down because of his like frame and the way that he runs. But he's not the fastest guy in the world. I think he's just super patient and hits holes in such a cool and like methodical way that it's like kind of fun to watch your offense again, which has not been sort of untrue. But now that they're blocking properly down the stretch. So I'd say the coaching staff, to answer your question more precisely, what they were able to do with your offensive line, because we know what the offensive line is on paper. And it looked to me like it just looked like a unit of guys really working together, and they were really well drilled, and that's kind of what you needed.
Yeah, it kind of looked like the opposite of what we were seeing in the preseason. Like I was banging the drum the hardest that this was a bad preseason, bad offseason for Mayo. I had real doubts and questions, but like to your point, they did look so prepared, and everyone looked bought in. And we were talking about this last week, the three of us. Now the Bengals are 1-5 in their last 6 openers. I didn't think that the Patriots were going to win. I just thought that they were going to cover it. Because 7.5 points for week one against a team where their star wideout hasn't been practicing. T. Higgins was out. Joe Burrow, all those things.
I'd take a spread like that week one in the kind of situation, to be honest, because like everything's so unpredictable in the first week. Right. You don't know the preparedness levels of all the teams. Like Miami and Jacksonville, neither of them look fucking prepared. You guys could have beat either of those teams if you played them this week because they just both looked sloppy. So it made for kind of a fun game, but like it was because nobody was like dialed in. And like the only team I saw do that, like our first drive, we have all the plays mapped out. It's going to work because we have all the plays mapped out that teams get to in week 7, week 8, week 9. The only team I saw do that was the Pats this weekend.
Yep.
Where that first methodical like 80-yard drive that they did with like that ended with Stevenson with it like a just short run that nobody touched him. And I was like,
Yeah.
I mean,
But I mean,
preparedness.
that's the thing too, right? Like yesterday was about finishing, right? So many times the last few years, they've been knocking at the door for a win, knocking at the door of a big play, knocking at the door of
Against the Bengals.
that too, right? Exactly, right. So it's just like for them to finish yesterday is the biggest takeaway by far, because to be up 10-0 at the half when it really should have been 17, but whatever, they didn't do some plays at the end, but should have been up 17-0 at the half. Get the ball at the beginning of the half, which up here we should call it a double whammy up here. And once again, like I said, they just dominated from start to finish. And once again, if you're gonna block like that, I think because listen, a call for if I'm saying his name wrong, whatever, he don't deserve his name to be said it right because he sucked yesterday. Thankful for them putting in Vidarian Lowe, who once again hasn't been someone to write home about, but he was really good yesterday. So if that's part of the combination going forward, ironically, we had someone named Michael Jordan, blocking for us yesterday. So once again, maybe thanks MJ. like I'll take it. But yeah, like I said, I can't say enough about the line and how well they protected. Once again, 0 sacks, 0 sacks like that. If you had told us that and what's today, September 9th, if you had told us that on August 15th when they had lost to Philly here in the preseason, when I went to that game, if you had said that this team would give up 0 sacks in week 1 or any given point at the season, I'd have been like, yeah, okay. So I'll take it. But
I will give them credit though. They did this last year too. Like they had an atrocious offensive line in the preseason, and then opening week against Philly, like that was actually a shootout, and Philly had what we thought was a good defense at the time, and they didn't sack Mac Jones once in that game. Now he was sacked 1,000 times every week after that, but they were able to hold up. Now there are lots of positives, right? We already talked about Ramondre. We go a little bit more in depth about that. Ray, I want to know viability, right? Jacoby Brissett, his stats, they're not great, but 15 to 24 for 121 yards, no picks, no touchdowns. How many games can they win with a quarterback stat line like that?
I still don't think it's many because what my thing is, and this is all contingent on the line holding up, right? But 15 to 24 for 121, once again, unless the defense continues to play lights out like they did yesterday, that won't be a recipe for success, right? Like that's for any quarterback, right? That's just how it goes. But listen, the 7 rushes for 32 yards were more impressive than anything else. He extended some drives. As Sherrod Mayo said, he's the slowest black quarterback in the league. And I'm like, that's a fact of life. I was like, absolutely. I don't know if that was AI or not, but if you said it, like it's a fact. So yeah, I mean, listen, him extending some plays was the biggest thing. Thank God that Hunter Henry, didn't give up on that play in the end zone, because that would have been the only negative play that he had in yesterday's game. But yeah, I mean, in the long run, it wouldn't be something that'd be sustainable if he played like that. But if you only speak it to him being mistake free and then being smart with the ball, then yeah, if he's gonna do that, then yeah, they have a shot. But on the surface, 15 to 24, 121 is not something where you look at him as a threat running the ball. I mean, passing the ball.
Now, I just got to correct before I go to Dave. On the sheet, it does say 1 sack for 1 yard, so they did let up 1 sack.
Gotcha. Okay,
but it's fine.
Yeah,
DK. So now this isn't a guy making his first career NFL start and throwing for 94 yards, right? Like this is a 10-year vet coming into a situation where he doesn't have a ton of weapons. Their leading receiver had 31 yards catching. How sustainable is that type of offense?
Well, I mean, I guess you could take either view. You could sort of say the conventional wisdom in the NFL is that your quarterback wins you games now, in order to less in order to win a championship, you need an elite quarterback, and more if there's an elite quarterback involved in a championship, he's probably going to win. I didn't see any elite quarterback play happen in this game on either side of the ball. So you can win a game a different way when that's the case, right? I think the same was true of the Bears game, and I think the same was true of the Steelers game. So you have 3 QBs this week that posted no touchdowns, no offensive touchdowns at all for 2 of them, and a dub, right? So I don't know. The chances are this isn't a new day in the NFL where that's going to start happening all the fucking time. I started to think like, could I mount that as a point here, as a hot take? But I mean, no, like clearly not. Like if Patrick Mahomes played any of the like you guys, us, or the Steelers, I don't know. I don't know if it goes the same way, right? So non-quarterback play at an elite level being sustainable as a winning team, probably not. But I did see a lot I liked out of him, to be honest, and in a situation where he's there to buy you time and help develop your guy. So, I mean, all he needs to do is his job running the offense. And quite frankly, like as a fan of a team that's been doing, move the ball well on the ground, stop the run on the other side, and like don't let him kill you, football for my whole life.
115 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like it. Personally, I like when teams win like that. I like when defenses are good. And I see that across. There's parallels across like 3 major teams in my life. The Patriots, for obvious reasons, are a major team in my life where I grew up. You guys, the show's theme. My wife being a Steelers fan, and my team, like there was a lot of like put your nose to the ground and fucking win kind of stuff happening yesterday with all of our teams, which I really appreciated. Is it sustainable? No, you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Brissett as your QB. Like that's never going to happen in a million years. I will eat my own dick if it does. But all upside for the coaching staff, like I said. I mean, that's what you're looking at right now. If they can get him to do a job, that's a big deal. It's part of the reason why we brought in Waldron at offensive coordinator on the Bears is he had that year with Geno Smith. Yep. It's that thing of like, oh, you can like, you can mold a QB, you can get a QB to play at a certain like level of play. Like that's so big for what your guys' future is over the next 10 years, because what they're proving right now is we're not going to get Drake Maye killed, and we're not going to break his brain, and we can probably make him good, because look what we're doing. Yes, veteran, and I agree, he's going to come in with like a different mindset, and he's not going to get like wigged out, but I mean, I just like the look of what I saw, like structurally.
Yeah, it just looked like a game plan, like an actual NFL game plan, something that we haven't seen.
Which I know you've been foreign to you guys for a couple of years, which is strange. Yeah, tell me about it. I've been there.
So, but like we were railing on Alex Van Pelt the entire offseason, the entire preseason, and he looked to have a competent offensive strategy against Cincinnati. Now we can talk a little bit about this being more us winning or them losing, but before we do that, I do want to talk about Christian Gonzalez, because we've been. Me, again, in particular, have been questioning whether he is actually number one, or maybe we just didn't get to see enough of him. He covered Jamar Chase on 20 routes. On the 20 routes that he was covering him, Jamar Chase went 3 for 15. 3 catches, 15 yards.
You get no fucking contract on me.
Yeah, so what do you make of that soundbite? That's a hell of a thing for a second-year player to say.
Let's go. I'm here for it, because once again, we seen it last year. We was like, yo, when Tyreek got 5 for 40, right? That's on tape. Tyreek got 5 for 40. He was doing well in that Dallas game too before he got hurt. This is one of the last parting gifts that Bill gave to us. That man is special, and we're about to find out how good he is, going forward. He's going to get tested next week. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But he seems to be the real deal. And once again, we talked about it, you and I, in the previous season. Like, is it something to worry about him being torched in practice? And he didn't look great in the preseason, but hey, if you're gonna show up like this when it matters most, it wasn't just him. Keon White was special, so we get into that too. But
special,
that's man. Whew. I'll take it. Like I said, that's going to be a lockdown guy for years to come. Like, give me more of that, honestly. And I love that mentality that he had. Love it.
DK, you love defensive players, so you get a second-year guy coming back from injury, shutting down one of the top 5 receivers in the league, and then at the after the game, he says, he ain't going to be getting a contract on me.
I mean, that soundbite alone was fucking sick. And the fact that it was like off camera too, like he was just like G'd up and fucking like talking that shit, which I really like. Obviously, that's what we're all here for, I think. Yeah, I think the job of like shadowing Jamar Chase isn't a fun job, regardless of what the contract situation or the QB situation is in Cincinnati. But you know, he can still light you up. He's still Jamar Chase. Like if you're not playing well, like he's gonna just burn you, even if he's not mentally there 100% or hasn't been practicing with the team. I mean, you know, I thought everybody's thing about CeeDee Lamb was overblown because he hasn't. It's like, dude, come on, like it's CeeDee Lamb. Like he'll just run and he'll be open and he'll get found. Like it's fine. I think it's a challenge to match up against him one-on-one regardless. I thought the thing that jumped out at me, and this isn't me dampening Christian Gonzalez, I think he played really well, and I do lean in, and also quieting the noises from camp. Apparently, there was some shit going on in camp where he was getting kind of lit up or something.
Torched.
And people were saying like, oh, he's taking a regression after this injury. That's going to suck. But it doesn't look like that's the case. He definitely hasn't lost any snaps. So I think that was great. The thing that I was watching it as a more neutral observer, though, was I was like, damn, Joe Burrow looks like dog shit. I was like, I don't know if his wrist is ever going to be like good again. It's such a weird injury. I said this to you guys on 2 shows over the last couple of weeks. It's weird there. Jamar Chase decided he was going to play on Sunday. I think the Christian Gonzalez question feeds into the, you know, did they lose? Did you win? I do think you guys came out with a great game plan. I think you would have beaten a lot of teams yesterday. But man, the Bengals look like shit, dude. They're going to come forth in that division. That's what that game told me. Joe Burrow doesn't seem interested or switched on. Maybe he's hurt. I don't know. Still, I don't know. Jamar Chase, big contract dispute stuff, obviously. T. Higgins not in the building. A lot of weird shit going on in Cincinnati right now. So yeah, I mean, you still gotta kill the wolf, though. You know what I mean? It's like you still gotta go out there and stomp him. So I don't think it takes anything away from your win necessarily. I don't think it's that cut and dry. But
yeah.
They just looked ass, though.
But
they really
since
did.
he isn't a good enough team to not put in the work in the week and come out and still beat you. Like,
I mean, I think it's great.
Kansas City could do that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, absolutely. And they always start slow. And it's like a lack of preparedness that I think Cincinnati fans, I was exploring their Reddit today, their subreddit, and they were just like, fucking, this guy's just never fucking ready for a fucking season to kick off. Like this fucking like coaching staff, they're never fucking ready. And I'm like, yeah, I'd be fucking frustrated too, 1-5. And like, honestly, I think it's cool that like you guys went out and like did it. And I think it makes it cool that you're about to go play Seattle because both the Pats and Seattle look like maybe they're better than we thought they were. They look a little nippy, a little crafty type teams. So it's kind of going to be a quick answer for you guys, like how you look against Seattle. So that'll be fun to sort of watch. And it's, you know, it's interesting to pay attention to now because it's like, you know, maybe you're a little feisty. We could see.
Right.
Well, just remember, you tried to convince me that the Patriots are only going to win 2 games this year. Just remember that. And I had to fight you.
I mean, I'm still on track, to be totally yeah, I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm still kind of feeling fine about it if I'm being totally honest.
Listen, I mean, listen, I'm the one that was more gung-ho about it than you, DK. Like I said, I was just for certain today wouldn't.
Your schedule's rough.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, right? Well, I know we'll get into this because Mike has it down on the paper, but it's just, to me, it just speaks to like, okay, if you control what you can control, and I know that sounds cliche, but
no, that's a real thing.
You control your effort, you control your attitude. And I know Mike took a shot at our head coach as far as him being an overrated player. But
not a shot if it's true.
But I feel no, but allow me to finish, sir. But I appreciate it. But what I think happened yesterday is that, overrated or not, he was seen as a hard-nosed player while he was here. He was seen as a tough player while he was here. They adopted his attitude yesterday. Regardless of what you think of him as a player, what he was, what he wasn't, they adopted his attitude yesterday. And if that's the case, that, you know, maybe they overachieved, because if you say you think that he overachieved as a player, if that's the case, then maybe they do the same thing they go for.
You need to let this go. I didn't say Drake Maye sucked. I just said he wasn't great. He was fine.
No, I didn't. You didn't say me suck. You just put it out. I didn't say did you say he sucked? I just said you said he was overrated. That's all. And I'm saying, if that's the case, that, like I said, he was, you know, he was tough. He was hard nosed. He played hard. That team adopted his mentality yesterday. That's all I'm saying. Nothing more, nothing less.
You know, we talked about this.
It's a positive, Mike.
We did talk
Hey, I'm
about
being
the
positive
idea
today.
of
You be nice.
culture changes. I think that's a lot. Like I think we talked about how difficult it is, like the Dan Campbell like thing of coming in and changing like the mentality and the culture of a whole organization and team and doing it quickly. I mean, we talked about how difficult that is. I'm not ready to say that that's happened yet in New England,
No.
but I think that
Right?
like
No, yeah, not yet.
I think like if that's true, I mean, you guys would know more than me. If it looked like he had stamped his identity a little bit on the team, I mean, that's so positive, for
Right.
the future of your franchise, because like that's where you start building from.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
one thing I was going to say was I think it's interesting that like the way that we're talking about this went, specifically because a lot of the players that shined through in this week were players that Bill left us. So I think for me, there's always going to be this other thing I want to talk about every time we talk about the Patriots. So I'm just going to warn you now, so you don't get sick and tired of it. Is if this team does better than they did last year, which I still don't think they're going to, but let's just say they do. Let's just say they get 6 wins. Again, I don't want that to happen, but whatever. And it's all their guys. Like, what does that really say about Bill? They just tuned him out at the end, and now Gerard can actually get these guys to do what they did 2 to 3 years ago.
It's the same thing, and we talked about this analogy before, and Dave would appreciate this, him being a basketball guy, but you know where I'm going with this too, Mike. It's the same thing with Pop in San Antonio. Same thing. Once again, we know that Pop is, if he's not one of the best, he's damn sure revered as the best coach in NBA history. But once again, once 21 left, and Tony Parker leaves, Mono leaves, and you run Kawhi out of town. He's about to get a second chance with Wemby to redeem himself to an extent. But that dude's a beast. But it's like his messages, I think, has fallen on deaf ears, and they just haven't had the talent also. And I think that's what happened here in New England. Like, yeah, Bill had the cachet because of what he's won and what he's meant to the league and what he's meant to the organization. But his message, his philosophies, just everything that he was doing had fallen on deaf ears. And I feel like that had been the case for a few years, not just, last year. So, yeah, it seems like, I think, I don't know if it was Tom Curran or somebody else that mentioned about it, players ready to run through a wall for Gerard Mayo. So I think it's because he had the relationships already built in that locker room the last few years because he'd been on the defensive side of the ball. So when he stepped into this role, he already had some cachet with the guys, which is why Clarke probably went with that decision, regardless of what we felt on the outside. They knew internally what he meant to that locker room and what he could potentially build into if things went right.
How dumb, Dave, are the Bengals for letting Joe Mixon go?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's going on over there, to be honest. I'm not really sure what the sort of overall game plan is, or what they're really going for. They seem to be hitting their timing weird on a lot of those contracts, and like again, I still don't know what the fuck's going on with Burrow's wrist. But to the Belichick point, I just wanted to say, like, I think my theory on what happened there is, and this is with no actual information, purely speculation, but
Love it.
if you're 21 in Bill Belichick's last year of coaching, you didn't viscerally experience the things that he did in the game like we did in real cognitive years. So you're sort of being told that he's a legend, which like I think we all know, like, yeah, you can respect guys and like, take people's word for it, but like the ones you see are the ones that like really like make an imprint. And Gerard Mayo being like 38 and a former player, I think gives him a huge leg up on what's a pretty young team. For better or for worse on Bill's drafts, like they're all still at least like molding age, right? So there's something to be said for that. And I think it's not to say that Bill Belichick became a worse coach overnight. There's just no way. But like he was probably really used to having a certain amount of, like you said, cachet or like gravitas or whatever you want to call it, where when he would say something, everybody would fucking jump and hop too. And maybe that's just not the case anymore. And also, I mean, I'm not saying he can't still do the job, but he's an older man. And like, there's a certain probably amount of energy that is required to be an NFL head coach. I doubt it's a short work day every day. I think they're probably, they're probably in there like a lot, so Bill was never really like a rah like man manager, like get everybody hyped up type of coach. But it seems to be really effective to be like that in this day and age in the NFL with these kids that are coming in. So, and everybody likes it. It's box office. And Bill Belichick was like certainly not box office, especially by the end. Like it wasn't like it wasn't like the funnest thing to do to go listen to the press conferences, gents. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, injection of energy. It doesn't necessarily mean Gerard Mayo was automatically a better coach than Bill Belichick because he took a very similar roster and like, but an injection of energy, context, these serendipitous things, they matter. You know, they matter in life. They matter in football.
Absolutely.
Before we get into like the preview for Seattle, and then I want to talk a little bit about the Bears just for you, Dave.
Okay.
Is it an overreaction to say that this game is something that they can build on for the rest of the season, still knowing that they're not going to be a contender? Or should people start thinking, well, if they can win games like this, maybe they can be a 7-8 win team? Well, based on your neutrality, Dave, what do you think?
I think if you can build it, if you can do that and become a 7 or 8 win team, you then automatically right away, I think, get a lot of the cachet back from around the league as far as players wanting to come and play there, the sort of legacy that place has, you know, as the last great dynasty and not really much before that, you're sort of new money in NFL circles. So when you have like I think the San Francisco 49ers are a really good example. Like they're always good, right? Like they're always good. They're always there, thereabouts. They're always trying to be like there, thereabouts. You see them in a lot of Super Bowls and the fucking uniforms look cool as shit. So people want to go play for the San Francisco 49ers. It's just like you remember Joe Montana in that uniform. Like you remember the guys that came before. You have to cement yourselves as that as New Englanders now. And I think that there's something to be said for I'm usually, Mike, you know, I'm usually like the don't be a dog shit 7 or 8 win team, but that was in a situation where I was like firing fucking coaches on week 2. You know what I mean? Like that's just not going to happen. You're going to see how this plays out one way or the other, right? For better or for worse. So, and like you got to at least give him the Drake Maye year, maybe +1. You know, you kind of have to let's see how this project works out. So at the beginning of it, excitement is great, but if he can basically outperform with what they can do as a coaching staff, it seems maybe you don't need that super, super high pick. You know, like, I mean, some teams, like you said, I mean, you made this point like on our last show, it's like some teams build great teams without a top 5 pick ever, you know? So, and if people want to come and you free up a little cap space, which you have done, then all of a sudden your fate's, it doesn't take 4 years. Your fate's turned around in 2, which is, it's great. You know what I mean? You're a winning team again by the end of next year.
Ray, given that you wrote this rundown, it seems to me that you are you're pretty excited about this win. And so, what do you think their identity can be?
So I think it's almost more smack you in the mouth running the ball. I mean, and once again, to me, I've always been a guy, and I'm a throwback type of guy. The run to me sets up the pass, and I know that's not what it's supposed to be.
Agree
now.
1000%.
Yeah, you have to throw it all over the park. I get that, but the run sets up the pass, and you saw yesterday that when they got first downs with Ramondre, they was able to do what Ellis Van Pelt wants to do, which is run the play action, and then listen, he made Tyquan Thornton made positive plays yesterday. That to me would be over in a moment. You got Tyquan Thornton to get 2 catches for 27 yards. I was in awe that he was able to have 2 positive plays, more than he had it all last year. So I'm thankful already to Alex Van Pelt for that moment alone. So I'm cool. We got that out the way. But yeah, running the ball, playing sound and technical defense. And I think that to me is where the identity can be built. I think that they just have to continue to be disciplined. I felt like there wasn't a lot of penalties called. Once again, in the preseason, there was a penalty. I felt like every other snap.
Oh, well, the first 2 games of the NFL season, it was just like fucking penalty fest.
Yeah, and that's what we was talking about in the chat, and I was so annoyed because that point of emphasis, like don't be behind the line of scrimmage, whatever that rule is. But it's just like calling on every down.
It literally doesn't matter. Is the thing. It literally doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, so it really that's the thing that I'm just why are we still talking about this? Why are we still throwing fucking flags?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, honestly. So, but yeah, I mean, listen, I think, like I said, if they keep running the ball effectively, just have the pass, and then just like I said, playing sound technical defense, but just like I said, keeping that discipline on both sides of the ball, and really in all 3 phases. Like I said, special teams was great yesterday too. So yeah, I just think because we talked about the identity going forward, but I just think to me, and once again, I've gone back and forth on this stance about, them losing. Listen, I want to be clear. The priority for me is still Will Campbell. I want to be clear. but, right, there's a but, right? If you're able to maintain this level of play, then yeah, if that maneuvers you to get to 8-9 wins, and once again, like Dave said, you build the cachet for people to want to come here, because that should be the goal anyways. You build through the draft, and you get your final pieces, to give credit to Dave for what he said a few weeks ago. So that's what I ultimately want. I'm not trying to be sitting here in 2032, still waiting for them to make at least the first or second round of playoffs. Like, I'm not trying to wait that long. So if we can get this within a 2-year span, as opposed to 4 to 5, sign me up.
I mean, listen, if they can win 6 or 7 games, now again, these are still big ifs. I'm trying not to overreact, but I think it's worth talking about. If they can get to 6 or 7 wins with this squad, you would think after a year of developing, Drake Maye would be able to come in next year and add 2.5 to 3 more wins.
Absolutely.
And now you're at your 9 to 10 wins, and you figure out free agency, right?
Exactly, correct, right? Because they got cap space in 2 years, so I'm like, figure it out, figure it out.
DK, I don't know where your head was at in terms of. I think you were in agreement with me in terms of Drake Maye and how you should probably wait as long as possible to start him, based on what you saw in just 1 week of football. If they can play like this, is there any reason to rush Drake Maye into a starting position this year?
If you can sustain the O-line, the thing about Brissett, I know he said he was crying on his way to the stadium or whatever the fuck that was all about, but sorry, I only read it for briefly. I don't know what the context is, but I was stop crying.
No, I mean, I'll tell you why I was crying. I was crying because he was going to be the starting quarterback. But
fair. That's probably why he was crying too. But I would just say he's a crash test dummy, so you can't put him out there until you watch the O-line protect your investment for I don't know, at least 4 games, like an IR PUP type time span, right? We just need to see that he's not going to die if he goes out there. And then, yeah, I mean, fuck it. If you've won 3 games out of your first 5 and the O-line looks like it can protect him, and the QB play from Brissett hasn't been stunning. It hasn't. I mean, look, I think the most important thing in his stat line, I would say this about Caleb Williams too. I'll say this about Justin Fields. The absolute most important thing in the stat line is that goose-egg interception. I think that is how a quarterback can kill you. Obviously, that's nothing anyone doesn't know, but you can win a game in other ways if he does that for you. If he throws 0 interceptions, so he hasn't done anything wrong. But would you, if week 5, if this is pretty much the level of QB play you're getting from him, but you're winning games, is it that crazy to think wow, we're winning games? It'd be pretty sick if Drake Maye went in there and also
so you
really
would
good QB play. It'd be hard to resist if I was in your position. I think.
So if they're 3-3 going into week 7, you would start Drake Maye.
If they're 3-3 going into week 7 with 2 provisions, 1, sack numbers are low. Right. Yep. Sack numbers are low, and it's because he has time, not because he's crafty and is runs for his life well.
Which he isn't.
Which he isn't, because he's slow. He chose the exact right times to go for those scrambles, and I think that's often more important than really being super explosive. But if that provision is there and those advanced analytics really say Drake Maye shouldn't die if he goes in there, let's see. And additionally, if a couple of those games were close enough that you can sort of say to yourself, if we had a little bit better QB play, if it's justifiable. If it's justifiable, then yeah. And you'll know when it is. And a big part of it's going to be that O-line, because what could happen is in 2 weeks you could be oh my God, don't let him go in there. Jesus Christ. He'll die. No way.
Yeah. I mean, I've jokingly said, I don't know if I said this in a group chat or I said this elsewhere, but I had to work a theory that Brissett gets knocked out on the sideline on September 19th, week 3 versus the Jets.
Yep. That would be prophetic.
That it would be poetic. That's how it has to happen. That's how it has to happen. He's gonna go for a run on the sideline. CJ Mosley or whoever, Sauce Gardner's gonna knock him out of bounds. And they're gonna say, "Oh man, Brissett's on the sideline. What happened?" Drake Maye comes in and bam, baby. The rest is history. But all jokes aside, I feel eventually we may have to see him later on this year, pun intended. I just think that if you're looking to have the passing game as an actual threat, right? Because now if you continue to run the ball for 120, 130, as they could easily do with Stevenson, I think he's that good. I've been on the bandwagon since he's been here in New England. So is Mike and the rest of us that are pass fans in the group. But you're gonna eventually start putting A in the box if you know that's all you're gonna do, right? And if you're saying that 121 is the ceiling, like that's gross. I'm already set. Like I'm all set. So if you, I'd rather have the eventual threat of that. Once again, I think I'd rather have all the options available. So I think that once Bourne is back, and then Booty and Osborne, like have everybody available before you're like, yo, let me throw them out there. But if the line continues to hold up and you have all the weapons available, like why not give it a shot? If that's the case,
Yeah. Listen, to your point,
to
both of your earlier points, like that you run to set up the pass. I 100% agree with that. Once you start putting 8 in the box, though, like you have to be able to pass, or else they're going to get you, right? And I don't know, like I don't think Brissett's going to lose you a game. I really don't. But I also don't think he's going to win you one. And so the way that I think about this, though, is that if through 7 weeks, 8 weeks, you're 500 or you're one game below, I think Brissett is doing enough he's earned the right to play out the year, continue to build and implement the new system with Alex Van Pelt, and continue to teach Drake Maye that system in practice, because it's only going to get better next year, right? So like there's really no upside to them being 5-5 or 4-4 and then putting in Drake, because maybe you go 9-8 and you get smacked in the playoffs, or maybe he goes 0-6 and then you could have just ruined the kid. Like just let him be a backup for a year. It's fine. There's no pressure on him, in my opinion, to come in and start or win any games for the Patriots this year.
I mean, I think you're probably right, but that's no fun.
Right.
Like,
but it's the right thing to do, fun. Dave.
Yeah, whatever. Well, fuck that. Like, put the kid in. Let's see him run for his fucking life. I want to see.
But you lived that with Justin Fields. You lived that with Justin Fields, and you loved it, and then you quickly hated it. Because it ruined him.
For the record, I didn't hate it until Caleb Williams was on the table. Like,
sure.
I'm just a little slut.
Which, by the way,
that's just my problem.
He was on the table week 6 of last year for you.
When the Panthers were going to shit. You want to hear a fun fact? We have their 2nd round pick this year. In the same trade. It's fucking the gift that keeps on giving, dude. It's fucking crazy. They might as well be our feeder team. It's wild. Yeah, I mean, look, crazy. You're probably right, Mike. But to me, if it's looking like Brissett can lead you to a 7-10 season, and you honestly think Drake Maye can lead you to a 9-8 season, and you're all of a sudden a playoff team again, I mean, you got to take that. You got to take that, right? And like, I don't think that's such a bad springboard. I agree that like let him sit a year, et cetera, like conventional wisdom, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, I get it. Steve Young, I understand. Pat Mahomes, I get it. I just think that's fucking dumb and boring. Let's see him play.
No, you think it's smart and boring.
Every quarterback you just named and a few moments ago, we're all better than what Brissett is currently.
All
starter.
That's true. There's a reason all those guys were on the bench. You know,
right. No, I'm saying, you were saying like Rodgers, Love, and then Alex Smith was like, come on, like
totally. I mean, but even the Alex Smith year, it made sense why Alex Smith was the QB, right? Like there was a lot of data that said
you both are agreeing.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it's like that thing of like you don't need to rush him, but at the same time, though, all those examples you're talking about paid off because like those guys learned from like some of the best QBs to ever play the game, with the exception of Alex Smith. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd rather learn from those guys than learn from Cinder Block. So
speaking of great,
I don't think it's going to move the needle that much. I think that Drake Maye is going to be what Drake Maye is going to be, no matter what Jacoby Brissett does. Like, I don't think that's
Cinder Block, because that's how we run Cinder Block. So
I like him. I like that he won the game for you guys, or well, it didn't lose it for you guys, but I think that Drake Maye's future doesn't depend on Jacoby Brissett, for the love of God. No, of course it does.
Hey, thank you. Like that's all I wanted.
Speaking of great quarterbacks, Tom Brady made his broadcasting debut this week. He covered the Dallas Cleveland game, which again did not go the way that any of us thought it was going to go, besides Bobby. What did we think about about Brady's debut. I know how DK feels. Were you underwhelmed, or did you feel like it? I think Tony Romo ruined it for us a couple of years ago because when that first year of Romo, he was excellent. Like even you have said that
He was electric that first year.
Brady wasn't that.
No,
Can he be that?
He was bad.
Oh yeah, he's too. He's
Robotic.
He's robotic, but he's too much of an all shot. Like he's not what he was on the field. Like if he transformed into what he was on the field, that's a different story. Because that
But he can't.
guy, and he can't because that's not. I don't think he wants to be that. But it's like because that guy's the most competitive guy I've ever seen. If that's the case, and we'll bring it and we'll try to get better. Now I'm sure that he hears the murmuring. He hears what was said already, and I'm sure that his next performance next week will be much better than it was. In week one, I thought he was okay for that arena football game that he did over the summer. But once again, that was a low level, low vibration, low pressure, situation. So it was like, okay, you kind of just ease your way into it. But yeah, it was underwhelming only because, like I said, the personality has to be there. Once again, there's no one that could question the football knowledge. Like let's be like, the football knowledge is second to none. But what I've seen him break down on Colin Cowherd's show, what I've seen him talk about with Stephen A. Like the dude is next level. Obviously, when it comes to breaking down plays and talking about the state of the game, but he doesn't. I don't know if he has the voice for it either. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, you have to find your voice eventually. But I'm saying like just can you turn in? It's one thing listening to an interview or listening to a podcast with him on it, but to be on there, where you have to play off the play-by-play guy. I'm not like I say he didn't have it yet. Doesn't mean that he won't get it, but as of now, it wasn't where we thought it would be or could be coming out the gate. And like you said, Mike, it's true. Romo out the gate was unreal. Like I can't believe you was like this, and you couldn't get past a certain thing, and you thought like this. Like the way. I mean, once again, he's become annoying and robotic to an extent, meaning Romo, but the way he still breaks down stuff is still excellent. It's just he just became a little more robotic. So, people can't stand him now, but he's not Collinsworth level bad. No one's worse than him. No one is
off.
Get
No,
out of here.
are you
dude.
on
What
your
are you
mind?
talking about? That's
I can't
fucking
stand Chris Collinsworth. I'm sorry.
slanderous.
But dude, here's a guy every 5 seconds, please. So y'all,
Dude.
Wow. Okay, well, we disagree on that.
Come
Sorry.
on.
We disagree on that.
Chris Collinsworth
is the gold standard.
He's mastered the art of
Hundreds.
making it seem like you fucking he's sitting next to you on the couch, just calling a great game of football. Him and Mike Tirico are the absolute gold standard.
No, I know. I love Mike Tirico, but I'm not a fan of
Mike Tirico's no Al Michaels. So like it's
Mike
a huge
Tirico's
drop
great.
off.
Okay, who is though? Who is?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it was a massive drop off. But don't you think, DK, isn't Tom Brady kind of cucked by the fact that he can't go into any walkthroughs, he can't go to any practices, and he can't talk negatively about the refs because he's trying to be an owner of the Raiders?
I don't fucking feel bad for him. He's like, I get to do this job because I did a completely unrelated job, basically, that doesn't give me any of the fucking skills that it takes to. It's always annoyed me that when a player's profile supersedes their talent to do that job. We all went to fucking school for this, we have respect for broadcasting. Our opinions on good broadcasters may differ, but we have at least respect for the fucking art form, like the Al Michaels of the world, like Edward R. fucking Murrow, you know what I mean? Like people being good broadcasters, not just sports broadcasters, is a difficult thing to do. And you have to be incredibly high level to be announcing an NFL game one way or the other. And quite frankly, the contract that Tom Brady got, the job that Tom Brady got for what his skill set is probably the most one-sided, lopsided payment for level of talent I've ever seen, except for the CEO of every company ever. But
considering how good Greg Olsen was.
Right,
Greg Olsen was fine. He was fine.
He's awesome.
He was fine, and he was getting better. I thought year on year, every year, Greg Olsen got slightly less annoying to me, even though I liked him as a player. But again, that was a growing pain situation. Will Brady get better? Sure, but he's not good. And the thing is my point was actually going to be, before you slandered Collinsworth, my point was literally going to be, how unfair was it that you were listening to Brady late into the later games and then they throw to Chris Collinsworth, and it was like, holy shit, like, why did they let that opening act fucking go out there? Like, they got slaughtered when they got followed up. Like, Collinsworth was just, because the thing is, Brady sounded tense, which is fine for your first game, but it throws it to Collinsworth, and that man doesn't have a care in the world. He's so happy to be there. He loves the game of football, and he thinks all those guys are really good players. He's just like, honestly, I think the thing he builds from is he's like, honestly, these guys are all great. These guys are all just wonderful athletes. And I'm like, it's happy-go-lucky. He brings a Mr. Rogers Neighborhood type vibe to the whole thing.
And I think maybe
it.
so. To add to that, right? I think maybe, and this goes back to what Mike said about Marcus. Maybe I like the pairing of him and L.
I was upset when they broke up too.
Then him and Tariq, maybe that's. I've always
think him and Tariq have really figured it out. I
you know what I'm saying. So that's where I'm stemming from. But I mean, listen, he was great with watching. I love the what game was that? I think it was against Indianapolis where Gronk ran over dude and just scored a touchdown. There was a few games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on Sunday night, he was just like, oh yeah, like that's the fan that's on the couch. So I get what you guys say in that regard. And just for me, some of those moments that happen too few and far between for me, anyways. But like I said, he's had great moments. I just wasn't I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he's had great moments though. He
also just knows how natural it is, like, to let the announcer actually breathe. Like, he never stepped on Al. He never steps on Tariq.
Brady let the announcer breathe until he died of oxygen.
I know.
The problem is that Brady just wouldn't talk. I was like, Tom, that's you. Like, time for you to go. And he just wouldn't. And it was like these horrible, uncomfortable silences, because that's probably what it's like to hang out with Tom Brady, dude. He's a weird guy. You have to be a little bit of a psycho to have done what he did. So now the more we see his personality, like the roast was like funny, but it was weird as fuck, dude. It was weird as fuck.
Like, can you imagine Michael Jordan calling NBA games?
No. Yeah, I think he would do great, to be totally honest.
I think he would do
awesome. I think he would do awesome. They made a whole documentary about how great Michael Jordan's personality is. They made a whole 6-part series about how fucking cool as shit and competitive Michael Jordan is. I think he'd do great. I think he'd do awesome. Yeah, totally. The only thing he shouldn't be is a fucking GM.
I think that he would slander every player possible.
That'd be great. That'd be
the only thing that people rock with is guys that
must see TV. Must see TV.
Yeah, he would rock with guys that went to North Carolina, and then he would big up Russell Westbrook. That's about it.
I bet he would. I think he would love Anthony Edwards. I think he would absolutely.
For sure.
Over Anthony Edwards at all times.
For sure. You'd be like, son, is that you?
Yeah, but listen, I just think that Tom Brady is the kind of guy that thinks he's good at a lot of things, when in fact we've seen him be good categorically at one thing. Now, he was the best to ever do that, but come on, man, you can't have it all. Give somebody else the job that's way better than you.
Before we get into our preview for Seattle and our week 2 predictions, we talked about it earlier. The Chicago Bears were down 17-3 at halftime.
17-0 at one point.
Yeah, and we all put out a watch for DK. They didn't score. Was that 21 unanswered points? Or was it 24 unanswered points?
24.
Yeah, 24 unanswered points to get a 24-17 victory over those Titans from Tennessee. Dave, what is your takeaway from that game? Like, what are your happy things you're going to build on?
I was gonna fucking kill myself. I swear to God. I was like, I can't.
You said it. You literally.
I can't fucking believe this is happening. I usually am so much better at tempering my expectations, especially about the Bears, but some combination of the first overall draft pick and the moves we made in the offseason and Hard Knocks. I just got so drunk on the bubbly.
The Hard Knocks.
That was the Chicago Bears. The last episode of Hard Knocks, it was just this sweet montage of Caleb Williams throwing dots and a sweet song where everybody's just catching ball. And I'm like, this is just about to be the greatest Chicago Bears run ever. We're finally back. We're so back. And then just reality punches you straight in the mouth, and the Tennessee Titans provide the fist. And I can't stress enough how I was gonna kill myself. So I'm really glad that they fucking turned it around, because here I am talking to you today. It's a really inspiring story.
Listen, I thought that Caleb Williams had an okay game from the standpoint that he didn't lose it for you, and and I told you that 2 weeks ago. Listen, he doesn't need to win you any games in the first 6 weeks. You just can't lose it. I was a little surprised by the lack of production from DeAndre Swift and from Keenan Allen. But aside from that, I mean, maybe it's just first game jitters, or I really
The
don't know
off- no, I
what it
mean
was.
the offense looked like shit. The offense scored 0 points. They looked absolutely fucking atrocious, and they all need to take a long, hard look at themselves. I think that the blocking was awful. There was centers getting pancaked by linebackers, unacceptable. It was a mess. We tried to triple team a guy at one point, and then I think it was probably a defensive back came late around the corner and just got to Caleb. Like we said earlier, you got to establish the pass with the run. DeAndre Swift couldn't get off the ground. We ran Herbert at weird times. I didn't mind Waldron's the things he was doing. They just weren't working. They weren't clicking. That being said, were 2 Caleb Williams accurate passes and a non-drop by a guy who doesn't drop the fucking ball in Keenan Allen away from him having 3 touchdown passes. Like he made the reads. So I know that the internet was really loud today. And I was like, fine, lay it on me. I want to hear it. I want to hear everybody do the victory dance that like he's not the guy. He's already a bust, like whatever. I think you sound stupid calling it one way or the other. But I genuinely, after one game, will take making the reads, but not having the accuracy with at this level, like being a rookie, your first ever game, and you see those routes when Fields couldn't see open guys through the middle ever. He was decent on the deep ball on the sidelines,
Yep.
and he was decent with the bubble passes. But even then, I would have wanted as much zip as he was putting on his ball for the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll tell you that much. He corrected a lot of stuff. I really enjoyed that. But overall, he saw the reads. He made literally rookie mistakes. Like he didn't get rid of the ball and he got sacked on that big sack where he lost like 19 yards. And like that's just what rookies do. You know what I mean? Like he just the thing is it's contrasted by the fact that Levis releases the ball at the end of the game when he's going down for a sack and we take it in for an easy pick 6. So it's like, well, it could have been worse. He didn't throw any interceptions factually. And overall, the offense wasn't clicking. Like you don't think that if Swift was penetrating and getting first downs and like making it work that Caleb Williams' stat line wouldn't look better? Of course it would. Of course, it's just with both of those. If one thing is true, then the other thing is going to be true. So too early to tell, to be honest. I still think the way he can throw the ball with weird body shapes is elite. I saw him make the reads that he needed to make. And I also saw him like not let everything fully fucking fall apart when it started to go badly. Like he definitely was like, everyone fucking relax. Okay. Like there was a little bit of that. And I was like, all right, that's good. Like he didn't let the whole world implode, which Fields would do from time to time. So increasingly actually as time went on. But yeah, I mean, too early to tell. I'm relieved that we won the game, to be honest, because we had to win that game if we're in any way close to where I thought we were as a team.
Well, that's what I was telling you about when we did the picks, last week. So just go back and listen to that. But I was thinking about how Tennessee would maybe run their way into some games they had no business winning, and for majority of that game, that's what was happening, right? Until
smack in the mouth at the start. That's the way you do that, right?
Right, exactly. So until Will Levis showed us who he was, and just
Can I actually point out a funny thing real quick? Sorry to interrupt you because I know I talked for fucking ever, but I just wanted to say there was one play. I don't know if you guys saw it. Will Levis, they were talking about like how rough and tumble he is. Like they were doing that commentary narrative and they were like, Will Levis, he's just like getting his big body in there. And then right as they're done saying that, fucking Will Levis like makes a run through the middle and Edmonds comes out of the left side and hits him in midair. And the commentator was forced to be like, well, I mean, he's 6'3", 230, but Edmonds, unfortunately, is 6'5", 250. So now he's a little banged up. And I was like, yes, look, because like he just cracks into him, like really hits him. And then it's like heating pad on the back for Will Levis. It's like, the thing is like one of the things I don't want anyone to get hurt. I really was mad when Jordan Love went down. I don't want any injuries, but honestly, your defense has to be like, get out of here with that fucking noise, dude. You're going to run through the middle on us. You're the quarterback. Fuck you. Like you have to bang him up. If he decides he's a player now, oh, you're a runner now. You can play the game of football. You fucking jack him up at every opportunity. You jack his shit up. You're not sliding. You're going forward. You're getting fucked up, dude. That's literally, it should be in a linebacker's contract to make sure that fucking happens. So the fact that happened, and then all of a sudden he started playing like shit was music to my fucking ears. The defense looked great. So yeah, sorry, Will Levis, you're right. He showed us.
That's the thing.
He banged his ass up though.
Right. No. Yeah. Showed us who he was, and let's say the defensive coordinator. And I'll say what I said to you, when I messaged you, I was like, yo, like that looked like old school Bears defense, right?
Real 06 vibes, yeah.
Oh, Jonathan Owens, giving us
Simone Biles' wife.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah, giving us Mike Brown vibes. So if you know. So hey, I'll take it. Like I said, they looked good in the second half, and that's all that matters. Once again, you finished the job.
I
So
love
yeah,
Mike Brown, for the record.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, he was amazing. Dude was Mr. Pick Six for a while. People talking about Deron Bland now,
He
but
also
Mike Brown was the guy. Yeah, so
he was also such a hard tackler, which I loved about him. Like he would come absolutely through guys. Like I agree wholeheartedly. When you say stuff like that, it makes my 16-year-old heart flutter. It's like a real thing.
Listen, if there's anyone that's going to take you down memory lane, baby, you know it's me. You know it's me.
You do have like honestly like a really good depth of knowledge about the 2006 Bears roster. I've heard you call out like a couple of the receivers and stuff.
Because
Marty Booker, you mentioned like not too long ago. I was pretty impressed.
Was awesome, yeah. But the thing is, we watched. I feel like we watched both basketball and football pretty similarly, so that's why we can do that. So and it's cool. It's cool to reminisce on the glory days and how good.
Love Mike Brown, dude. It just made me so happy that you brought that guy.
Hey, we love Mike Brown, baby.
Love Jonathan Owens too. Actually, it's really such a cool comparison because like Mike Brown, Jonathan Owens, it makes a lot of sense. Like they're both kind of weirdly undersized, but they like what I loved about Jonathan Owens in that moment was he was first to the ball like mentally. You know what I mean? Like he was just there. And I think that's how you make an impression on special teams. And that's how you start to get real rotational snaps in. Cause it's like he was just first to the ball, like ready to go, picked it up, scooped it up, good hands into the end zone. Like all the simple stuff happened correctly, which is like what Eberflus has been smashing on. So yeah, I'm pumped about the defense for sure.
Right. Kind of feel like I'm infringing upon your two special time here. Sorry. But in the essence of moving things along, we're gonna go to week 2 to our week 2 predictions. It does start off Thursday Night Football on Prime. The guy Al Michaels is back to call Buffalo at Miami. So and the line right now, it's Miami is favored by 1.5. So Ray, who are you picking in this game?
I'm going with Miami because it's down in Hard Rock. Yeah. So I'm going with Miami. Like Miami at home early on in the year, like they're pretty strong there. So and like I know Buffalo ended up coming back and winning yesterday, but I'm rocking with Miami.
Dave?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to stray for that too hard. I didn't think Miami looked bad. I just thought they didn't look really like 100% prepared. Neither did Jacksonville, thankfully for them. I thought the Tyreek Hill arrest video turning into the arrest celebration was pretty cool. I thought his touchdown was something that we shouldn't ever take for granted that a guy can do because it's so crazy. Like the way that he was able to go like over and then underneath two different guys that like should have tackled him, stay in bounds, and then just like turn on the jets and be gone was bananas.
Unreal.
It's bananas. Like let's not start just saying like, let's not get jaded or cynical about how fucking insane it is to watch Tyreek Hill play football. Cause like quite frankly, like those cops, you should tell those cops like he was there because he wanted to be there. Like if he wanted to get away, like he would have gotten away. Like just so you guys know, like just to make sure that like you guys understand that he was there optionally anyway.
There's no if he wanted to run up University to the stadium, I'm telling you,
you're not catching him.
You're not catching him up.
You're not catching him. Here's the thing. This isn't the movies. I've actually in real life seen people run from cops, and honestly, with those belts and stuff, you got a chance. Like if you were at all fast, even in high school, like you got a chance. You might as well try it. They might shoot you, but like if there's a quick corner, take it.
Yeah.
But just get out of there. If they don't have your license or anything, just get out of there, buddy. The great advice from Dave. But I loved it. I loved watching Tyreek. It was a very football's back type game. That game, the Bills looked shaky and weird. I know that they came back, and I think that was like Josh Allen being a gamer. I appreciated it, but warning signs there for that Bills offense. Yeah, Miami early in the season, dumb to bet against them, honestly. And it's an annoyingly small point spread, but it means I would definitely take Miami the whole way.
Yeah, I'm taking Miami too. I thought Josh Allen had an impressive game, but you shouldn't have to score 34 points to beat the Cardinals at Buffalo. Like that's not.
Look, the Bills do that to themselves. You know what I mean? Like that's the way they win games, but that's the way they lose.
They had that type of game a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do that. They have like 3 of those games.
They played them hard. They played them hard. No, I'm saying, but Arizona weirdly play. They have about 3 or 4 games a year where you're just like, if they did this all the time, they'd win 10 games, but it just doesn't happen enough.
So we all have Miami, and then we have the Saints at Dallas. I'm taking the Cowboys.
Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, it was a year ago that the Saints beat up on shittier teams and lost
we were
to,
one of them.
to better teams. They did that all year last year. They were just
Right.
like good at beating up on teams that they like kind of could potentially beat up on or whatever. Doesn't make them a good roster. Doesn't make them able to beat the Cowboys, I don't think. But then again, the Browns really shot themselves in the dick, and that was maybe the worst quarterback performance I've ever seen in my fucking life. So I don't know how high it makes me on the Cowboys either.
Yeah.
So like, it's not out of the realm of
Couldn't
possibility.
massage just way through the problems.
What's that?
I was like, he couldn't massage just way through the problems.
He could
Yeah.
have, but he didn't really
Could,
want to. I mean,
He
the fact
couldn't.
here's the thing. The lesson is
boy.
don't guarantee a whole massive contract if you don't absolutely fucking have to.
Right.
Or you're not absolutely fucking sure.
So quick aside, he should be done. And like I said, we don't have to get into all of it, but if you've seen the report, I don't care what comes of it or what comes out. I don't care. So you can say I'm overreacting, but the fact that this resurfaced again, like get the fuck out. See
But
you
it's
later.
another lawsuit came up from 2020 to Deshaun Watson as we
Right.
are recording this today.
Yeah. So yeah, see you later, dog. Like I'm sorry. Like
Yeah, but also because he's awful.
yeah, it's awful. Well, yeah, see you later, dog. Like that's the fact that stuff continues to come out. Nah, it just I don't, it's not a money grab. It's not whatever you want to call it. It's once again someone else was harmed by you over some wild shit. It's time for you to go.
I might throw 7 picks, but I'm pretty sure I could get it to Amari Cooper more than 3 times.
Right.
Like
Right.
I might throw 7 interceptions in an NFL game, but I'm pretty sure I could get it to Amari Cooper more, maybe 4 times, maybe. If like I think
15 yards or more down the field.
I mean, but why? You know, like just
Because
he
couldn't. He was 0 for 10 on passes longer than 15 yards.
Dude, he was
insane.
He was 0 for everything. He was so
That's
bad.
insane.
He didn't look like he wanted to be. It's going to be like arm soreness. 2 weeks. Watch arm soreness.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Right arm soreness. Shoulder.
I'm not saying what I was about to say, but
yeah. Let's not.
Let's go off.
That's not going to end halfway for him. Okay, so Tampa Bay at Detroit. This is a rematch of the divisional game last year, right? So I'm gonna pick Detroit. I think Detroit's favored by 7 points. I think Tampa Bay. Listen, Mayfield looked good. The Buccaneers looks like they're gritty. They're fun, but Detroit looks like the real fucking deal. That overtime win. I mean, I'm ready for them.
I'm going with the upset. I'm going with Tampa Bay. I think
really.
Yeah, I think because I just think to me, I don't know what they found down there with him, but it's amazing how they've the resurgence of Baker. It's unbelievable. Like we'll talk about Sam Darnold later on, but because we were kind of spot on about that. We talked about that, but that's unbelievable how well he's looked down there. And I get it when you have a Hall of Famer wide receiver and Mike Evans, when you have a really good number 2 and Chris Godwin, they just found a way to figure it out. And offensively, they've been decent. And yeah, everything that he was supposed to be in Cleveland, he's become in Tampa Bay. And like you said, they're fun to watch. And I'm rocking. I'm going with the upset on that one. It'll be like a 2-point game. I'm going with the upset.
I mean, I was still high on the Lions. I just did see some stuff last night that I didn't love, like sort of constitutionally. I think that there was this Dan Campbell thing, like it's so on a knife's edge, you know, like the way that they played, and it does make it fun and exciting, and they are really talented, but they can also do stuff where it's like, wow, this other team's like getting back in. I think you had a lot of McVay moments of magic where he's just like managing the game. He's not panicking and he knows when to get back in.
Yeah.
I also think Cooper Kupp looked like
phenomenal.
Like that was crazy. Like he's not even that fast. His route running's wildly good though. It's like really like maybe the best I've ever seen because he just throws every coverage guy off. Like nobody for whatever reason, nobody knows where he's going or what he's going to do next. And he's like always finds himself open. And it must make Stafford's life so easy to just have a guy like that. Goff, shaky at moments yesterday. Honestly, there was just a couple moments where I was looking at his face and he looked like he looked a little sort of overawed by the moment, which we sort of saw happen at the end of last season too, which is concerning. I still really like them though. I'm still really high on them. I think that they have one of the better units overall in the NFL. Just like not like one of those. No, I can't find their weaknesses really. If it does exist, it might be at the quarterback position, but I've always been maybe lower on him than you guys. So, I can pot out my rod there. But I think against Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe it when I see it more than once. Like it was a good, yes, he's better there, and it is working, and they do have some skilled players, but I wouldn't overreact to that win, to be honest.
So you're taking Detroit.
Yeah, I don't want to overreact either way.
We have at Indy traveling to Lambeau Field to play the Jordan Loveless Green Bay Packers. I think that Malik Willis is going to be the starting quarterback for the Packers.
He's so bad.
Spreads 3.5 in favor of Indy. I would hit that all day. I'm going to take Indy in this game. I thought Anthony Richardson looked great last week.
That throw off the back foot. I mean, once again, we've seen glimpses in Florida, but whoa, I was like, damn, like
he's fun, he's a lot of fun to watch.
That's fun. I was like, hopefully, as he stays healthy. I was like, wow, that was a special throw. That was special. Yeah, but this should be a clean sweep. Like, Indianapolis is going to win this one.
It's disappointing because like Jordan Love shouldn't really be hurt because he shouldn't have been playing that stupid fucking game on the Friday on a dumb field that was like all busted up anyway.
Right.
It's annoying that happened. I'm glad it's only like the actual moment of the knee popping looked a lot worse, but that was going to be a really fun matchup watching those two guys play each other. And it would be a totally different and more interesting conversation we'd be having right now about that game if it wasn't for the fact that Jordan Love's hurt. So like, fuck that game. Fuck that Brazil game, dude.
Yep. Agreed.
So you're taking Indy?
Mm-hmm.
The Jets at the Titans. I mean, this should be.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Jets.
Yes. Yeah. Stop. Yeah. Jets.
Okay. The 49ers at the Vikings. I know that obviously Sam Darnold had a great week. They look good.
I was blown away when I looked at I didn't see the game live, but I was just keeping up with the stat line. I was like, yo, he's 11-11 for 142 in the first half with a touchdown to Justin Jefferson. I was like, oh my God. Like I said, what is going on? What is happening? Like,
yeah.
They made him look competent. I said, oh my God. But this is what I was talking about. I was like, when you get around better talent, can you look a little better? And he did it for that moment. He did. Once again, it's not gonna be a thing that it keeps going on and on. But
Giants. It was the Giants. Giants.
Hey, NFL team.
Ray, you're taking the
barely
Vikings
a fucking NFL team.
You're taking the Vikings over the 49ers next week?
No. I'm just saying it just
okay,
he just no, definitely San Francisco though.
I thought that's where you were getting at.
No.
I really thought that's where you were getting at. I was like, no, it's not going to be the same kind of game. Fucking Giants means nothing. No, the Vikings. No, sorry. I bet the people who are the highest on the Vikings prospects right now all have Justin Jefferson as their number one overall wide receiver. So,
right.
Great. I'm happy you guys had a good week. But no, it's the fucking Giants, dude. Sam Darnold. The thing is like we can't continue to do this thing where we pretend we haven't seen him play football before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not, it's like, it's that fucking ESPN sort of like, we got to fill the airtime. Like, is he going to be? No, Sam Darnold, still Sam Darnold. He didn't switch brains. He didn't Freaky Friday with anybody. He's still Sam Darnold. Like, it's not.
That's valid. But, and we're saying that you see the tape. So yeah, to your point, to add to your point, we've seen him against every type of team possible, and he still fucking sucked. So it didn't matter who he played. I'm just saying, for yesterday, he looked like an actual quarterback. Just for yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I guess having Justin Jefferson.
Transition into other games, but for yesterday, he actually looked like an actual quarterback. I was like, oh wow,
I'm not saying he did good, but it's because he played the Giants. You say NFL team, I think I would maybe take Bama if I got a decent point spread. If Bama and the Giants played, I might take Bama. There's like
also
talk me into it.
No, he has Justin Jefferson.
But I'm good.
Justin Jefferson makes everybody look better. We're going to keep moving. Right. Seattle at New England. Seattle's favorite 3.5 points. Well, I love everything that we talked about the Patriots. I think Seattle had a really good win against the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. That being said, I'm probably going to take New England to cover the spread and lose this game by 3.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah, same. And you know what my angle is like. To me, you got to show me that you can do it at home. That's true. Because once again, they've been better on the road the last few years, regardless of their bad record. So show me you can win a fucking game at home. And but yeah, I don't think that happens this weekend. So I think that they lose, like I said, by 3, and then move on to next week.
I mean, I'm hoping they both look punchy like they looked in week 1, and it doesn't get
Yeah.
I hope that it's a good game, and I think it will be. Maybe a better game than we thought this time, last week. So I think that's exciting. But yeah, I think it's actually gonna be close, and I think that it's kind of a running back battle and like a smart blocking battle, and like we'll see how that goes. Like I hope they don't cancel each other out. I think it might just be like a trench war, which will be fun to watch. So
Yeah.
I bet there's gonna be positives to take
Walker's
from it
good.
again, though.
Yeah, Kenny Walker's good. Obviously, you got Metcalf, got Lockett. Smith is a
I
much
want to
better
see.
percent.
I want to see. I want to see Gonzo versus DK Metcalf. Like, that's gonna be.
I can't wait.
Let's see what we can do.
I just hope he's going to picture a place.
We have Dave's favorite team, the Giants, at the Commanders. I think Jaden Daniels looked every bit the part of a starting quarterback.
I liked it.
Last week. Me too. I'm picking the Commanders in this game.
Yep, same.
I'll take them. Definitely. The Giants are so bad.
Okay, this is easy. Chargers at Carolina Panthers.
Panthers are the only team worse than the Giants.
Chargers. It is.
What is points, bro? I was like, golly, but yeah.
It's bad.
Fucking hell. It's bad. Poor Bryce Young. I feel bad.
Cleveland at Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. They're not turning the ship around with this weird Deshaun Watson shit yet.
And they shouldn't. I hope they lose every fucking game.
I think they'll start to look a little better when Chubb gets back. I still think Myles Garrett's like
won't matter.
top 3. So, and I like their defense. They are factually worse than I thought that they were going to be, though. So now I don't want to pick them.
Yep, and I'm good. So I hope Jacksonville
Raise out. I actually like Jacksonville, though. I did. I was high on them, and I they were a little sloppier, but it looked like talent versus talent. It looked like talent versus talent as with those two teams playing, which I liked. I hope they can dial it in because I think they'll look decent this year.
No,
I got Cleveland winning that game. All right, so now we have Vegas at Baltimore. This should be a fucking bloodbath. Like, this should be Baltimore by 25.
Vegas looked every bit.
It won't be, but Baltimore.
Vegas looked every bit of Luke Getsy run offense, down to punting when they shouldn't punt. I know that's not 100% the offensive coordinator's call, but yeah, I was like, yep, I recognize that guy. He fucking he ruined my weekend a lot of times. I've seen this before, and it looks the exact same, if not a little worse. And it's bad because like Devontae's still sick. Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, that whatever that experiment was didn't work out down there.
Yep. Time for him to say, move on. But I don't know.
I hope he can find one more really good QB before he retires.
Yeah, I'd love for him. I'd love to see him in LA with the Chargers. I think him and Herbert would be fun to watch.
That'd be awesome. I think Baltimore are going to win by a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Me too. The Rams at the Cardinals. Divisional game. I think it's going to be a bounce back week for the Rams. I think it will be close, but I think I'm going to take the Rams.
I'd take the Rams. Yeah, they're just a better team, I think, and they have a better coach.
Yep, Rams.
Steelers and Mile High at Denver.
I mean, all they do is kick field goals, so here we are. Like, it's the exact stadium I'd want to go to if that was my entire offense. I played against the Steelers kicker. He had like 22 points. It's it was crazy. That's all the only way that they scored, and Denver looked all right, I guess. I just I don't know. Were you guys like lukewarm on Bo Nix? Like, was it like, yeah, there's plays?
I thought it was, it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. It was like, it didn't really tell me anything.
Picks, so what's fine about that?
I just the way that the game unfolded. I was like, I don't think that I would write him off completely, but I also didn't see anything that was like insane. I saw like a decent amount of athleticism from him, and I saw good, decent moments, but I mean, it's not as if that Broncos team's good, right? Yeah. Like, it's not like he's coming into a great situation.
He would have been a Patriot had Bill still been here. Bill would have drafted Bo Nix. Not
wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah, at all. Me either. So ruin them.
So we're all taking now. Caveat: what if Russell Wilson starts?
I don't think it really matters who the quarterback is.
Bill's is better than whoever's playing better, so he's good. He's all right.
Cincy at Kansas City.
Yeah, bloodbath.
Okay, Kansas City.
I'm gonna take Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, listen, his claim to fame is what they've done against Kansas City. So,
not in the most recent of history, though. Like, right. That's not 100% true anymore. And like, Burrow didn't look himself, and Jamar Chase, the whole thing. I mean, maybe they pull it together,
but they do look themselves always against them. But you just said,
but the Chiefs look a lot.
I know.
They look like a lot better.
I
So
know.
they look kind of back to like the first iteration of the Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid Chiefs. I think everybody's fucked, but like that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you might be right, but I just there's
Yes,
something
yeah,
about Burrow.
no, yes,
Yeah, there's something about Burrow going into Kansas City for a big matchup with Jim Nantz and Romo calling it. I just think it's going to be Cincinnati going to win that game, and I hope it's a great game because this slate of games this coming week is not great. But the primetime ones are Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans.
Ooh, I like it. Give me the Bears, baby. Let's go.
I mean, I didn't think the Texans looked that great.
Here we go. Okay, tell me more.
It would be a pretty big statement. I think if our defense plays and special teams plays the way that it did, I think we have a good chance. I think the scoreline is going to be like 19-17, and I'm not sure who's going to have the 19, who's going to have the 17.
I need the definite.
I'll take the Bears.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'll take the Bears. Caleb Williams show up game, like breakout game. The offense will click. Let's go.
Yeah, remember what I said? I'm like saying I thought he was going to have the breakout game. So he didn't do it Sunday, but they won. But I say this is the game where
it'd be sick if Caleb Williams was better when he was on TV. You know, like it was like Caleb Williams is primetime as fuck. I would love to see that. That would be like a cool.
Like the opposite of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, right. Exactly. When we get to him, by the way, Jesus Christ, he's aged 50 years. What happened to Kirk Cousins? Holy shit, he looks like a mummy out there.
Before we get there, that is a Monday night game next week. Ray, you're taking the Bears?
Yeah.
Dave,
I'm assuming you're taking the Texans.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be actually like a 31-28 type of game. I think they're both going to ball out. So I don't think it's going to be an indictment on Caleb. But yeah, I'm taking Houston. But I'm picking the Bears in the spread.
What's the spread?
6.5. I'm taking the Bears in the spread.
Oh, they give Houston a lot of points. I guess that makes sense. I'm fucking delusional. Yeah. Go on.
All right, and week 2 wraps up with the Dirty Birds going against Philadelphia Eagles. Kirk Cousins couldn't move. I mean, it was bad, and I think
now who's dumb for drafting Penix?
He's gonna get better. He can't get worse. Yeah,
honestly, out there, he was like really not utilizing it all. It was It was a lot, I gotta say. It was
the game plan, though, like you can see how much better Bijan Robinson's going to be this year as opposed to last year, because like he was everywhere. He was all about being part of the game.
I think the Steelers' defense is good. Like I think it's tough.
Yes.
So I think you could give them a week if you wanted to, because when you play the Steelers game like that, they're going to beat you by.
You're going to lose. Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's just like how it's going to go. It's going to be 9-6 for like most of the game, and then all of a sudden they've just racked up a couple more. They know how to win games. Like not every NFL team, like even some talented ones, like knows how to win games. Like the Titans absolutely coughed that game up to the Bears because they just couldn't finish. Like Ray was saying about the Pats earlier. So like the fact that Tomlin and the Steelers can get out there and finish games when they play their way and they don't just get like destroyed by someone sick. That's why they're always over 500. So I would give the Falcons like another week, to be honest with you. But also, I thought Philadelphia looked really good, like better than maybe a lot of people thought they were going to look with some notable absences. I don't think with Saquon playing that way, I don't think I'm taking anyone against Philadelphia until they come up against like maybe 2 teams that I could think of. But right now, I'm gonna go with Philadelphia, but I still think like the Falcons run over the next like 3 over their first 4 games, it's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal, and it's going to be pretty brutal for Kirk Cousins if he keeps playing like that. But I don't know. I would still give them a chance to salvage their season after they get absolutely butt fucked over the next 3 weeks. But in that case, I am taking the Eagles. Yeah.
Ray?
I don't follow that. Philadelphia.
I'm taking Atlanta. I think it's going to be a bounce back week for them.
You think they're going to do some stem cell therapy for Kirk Cousins or something, or a deer antler spray?
I'm also picking them up with the spread too. Spread 6.5. Like that's a big spread.
Well, that moved because of what they look like against the Steelers. So you're right to take that, because you never know. It might have just been the Steelers imposing their will.
Right.
Well, we got through another football show. It's just so hard to give content when the NFL's back. We're glad football's back. Stay tuned for the Power Ranking show, the first Power Ranking show of 2024. Is that right? That is right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That feels right. With DK, and Hollywood Ray. And for all of them,
Other
my
rhymes.
name is Michael Marcangelo. Thank you so much for listening to Missing the Point. We'll talk to you soon.
Welcome to the Candle Power Hour. Come with us backstage behind the scenes of show business spanning over 4 decades and bringing you the experiences that can only be told by the people who were there.
Our guests are from the A-list, the F-list, and everyone in between. Get set for some of the most insane, hilarious, and inspiring stories you will ever hear.
I'm Mercury,
And I'm Diego.
your host for the Candle Power Hour.
Hello, folks. Earl Breon here, host of the Responsible Leadership Podcast, part of the Best Business Network on Electricast. If you're looking for a show to bring you some of the best leadership advice from some of the top thought leaders around the globe, this is the show for you. You can find us on all the podcast platforms of choice or on social media by following me, Earl Breon, B-R-E-O-N.
Electricast.